In this video we're going to show you how to apply bank rules to transactions that you've brought into your Freeagent account from your online banking, or as in the previous video, imported as an Excel or CSV file type. So here we are on the dashboard. To get to our bank transactions that need explaining, we go to banking at the top of the menu item. We then click on the account that we want to do the work in. So in this instance we're just going to do the main current account. And then we're presented with all the transactions. And the way that Freeagent works is if a transaction is red, it needs some work doing to it. We could narrow this list down by just clicking on Total Unexplained just to have the 14 items that still need a little bit of work doing to them. That's quite useful if you've got a lot of stuff, a lot of transactions, and there's a mixture of completed and uncompleted transactions on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work down a couple of them and give you an idea of how to provide or create a rule for this transaction. So a good example might be Vodafone, because we know that when we see Vodafone coming in on the bank statement as a payment, it's typically going to be for telephone, and it's typically going to have 20% VAT on that. So Vodafone is a very good example of what you could apply a bank rule to. So if we click on it, you're then presented with a couple of items just to tell it where it needs to be. And in this instance, there's a few options for the type of transaction this is. What I want to do is, instead of posting the payment against a purchase invoice that's outstanding elsewhere in Freeagent, I'm just going to send this straight to telephone and claim 20% on it. So the transaction type that we would need is payment in this instance. I'm then going to choose 20% as the VAT amount. And I'm also going to choose internet and telephone as being the category. So internet and telephone is here. And at this point we could, if we wanted to, if we've got a photo or a scan of the original invoice or purchase invoice, we could attach it so it's a bit more of a much more friendly audit trail. But for now I'm absolutely fine. So I'm just going to say explain transaction. And you'll note now that that has gone green. So Freeagent has got absolutely everything it needs to deal with that transaction. And what will happen in the future is when we go and import, say, October's bank statement, November's, December's, etc., and Vodafone appears again, provided you've clicked Guess Transactions when you're about to import it, Freeagent will basically understand that previously you've dealt with Vodafone and it's gone to telephone with 20% VAT. It will actually half complete that transaction. It'll go orange effectively, and it'll say, look, I've dealt with this, I'm going to post it to telephone, I'm going to claim 20% VAT, is that okay? And you just basically say yeah at that point. So it's not strictly creating a rule from scratch, you're basically going about creating the transaction, dealing with it, and in the background Freeagent sort of understanding what you're doing. And so that's why they call them guessing rather than bank rules, because we haven't strictly set up a rule for this instance. So just to show you another example, so rent might be another good one that you could apply a rule to. So if we click on it, again, I haven't got a purchase invoice to pay off, which is what bill payment would be. Instead, I'm just going to post this straight to the rent category in the P&L. So I'm just going to click payment again. In this instance, I know there's 20% VAT on that. And then the category that I'm going to choose is rent. Again, I could attach a photocopy, a scan of the invoice if I wanted to at this point to make my records paperless, but I haven't got one of those at present, so I'm just going to click Explain Transaction. And again, what that's done is it's taught Freeagent what the words Digital Media Center Rent Room 101 might be in the future when it sees that come through in the next month, October, November, etc. Once it sees that, it's going to try and apply the same logic. It'll go orange and say, look, I've dealt with it in the same way. Do you want me to fully post this just as you did last month? And you just say yeah at that point. So that's pretty much it. You just work your way through your transactions, do as many as possible, and in the future, before you're about to import your bank, tick on the Guess Transactions option, and it'll start understanding what to do with the transaction based on the previous postings. So I hope that's helped, guys, but if not, please feel free to get in touch. All our contact details at the end of the video. Thanks for watching.